Olive, you know, I find myself in a tight spot because I have cast my vote for Baba 3 times. I worked actively for Baba's campaign in the last elections, but there are certain things, I am unable to reconcile myself with. One of them is the claim that this government is illegitimate. That statement in itself is an insult to the intellect of the people of Kenya. Because there is a reason why Kenyans donned fatigues and went to the streets chanting, no reforms, no elections. I mean, those young people were in the streets, those were us. Part of why we were saying no reforms, no election, because we had the moral force of the Supreme Court determination in our favor. When we said when Baba has announced the minimum reforms, we had expected the Jubilee administration then to move with speed, enact changes if necessary, but then there was a question of the time constraints. So when the repeat elections was called and Baba did not participate, we supported that. I personally supported that position. But then we engaged in what was called the People's Assemblies. Part of the People's Assemblies was to put pressure on the government. If anything, if there was a government that was illegitimate, I would tell you, then it was Uhuru's second term. But then what happens is that handshake came, and handshake effectively demobilized us. When I say us, I mean us who were around Mzee, the NRM, and the ODM fraternity, who are, I mean, essentially us. So when we got into the handshake, because reforms at the IEBC, we believe that IEBC was not properly constituted to conduct elections, especially after the Supreme Court had said that it had not conducted it in accordance with the law. But then when we got in, we've abandoned that reform and, you know, lumped it together with other agenda and under the BBI, so that when the BBI failed, it effectively also killed the reforms that should have been carried in the IEBC. The second thing is that Baba got carried away within the handshake. And I am saying this with utmost respect. There was a question of the appointment of the CEO of the commission. My brother here is a player in politics. My brother here is a player in politics. And the other brother over there. They know how that played out. The handshake team slept on the job, and the team that was constantly monitoring how things should be, how the game should be played, ended up with a commissioner, with the CEO of the commission, that they had wanted. The Azimio candidate lost. Then it came to the commission now. The handshake team ended up appointing 4 people, 4 commissioners, that I will tell you that were deemed pliant to them. But one thing they forgot to also do was to also appoint someone who is a lawyer. Because I will tell you that there were schemes to remove Wafula Chebukati. But then when we had the new commissioners coming, it is when they were in office that is when they realized that one, the vice chairperson was not a lawyer. And therefore, but what does the law say? The law provides that the chairman of the commission must be a lawyer. Actually, an advocate of the High Court of 10 years, at least 10 years standing. In a nutshell, the IEBC gave its determination. That determination was upheld by the Supreme Court. As people who worked for Baba, we believe that if Baba were to go to the Supreme Court, Baba should have gone to the Supreme Court as a respondent, not as a petitioner. The Supreme Court now being functors officio, and the decision of the Supreme Court in the question to the in relation to the election to the office of the president being res judicata, meaning it has been settled. When anyone is attempting to say that this government is illegitimate, one, that person is unnecessarily inciting the young people of Kenya against this government, and secondly, he is taking the people of Kenya for a ride. We are told that we need to invite the Commonwealth Secretary to come and audit the IEBC servers. The first question is, the Commonwealth Secretary is coming on what basis? If you read the UN Charter, there is the basis upon which other countries may interfere with the affairs of other countries. It is usually in instances of open hostilities where the country's security forces have turned their guns on women and children, or generally what is called an unarmed population, the civilian population. To tell us that the Commonwealth Secretary will be, I mean, we are a sovereign country. So that is also another instances where Kenyans are taken for a ride. And I almost used one of the adjectives of the Supreme Court. But I remember protesting on this very show that those words were less than judicious. Yeah.
Okay.
So only as I finish, now let me say this. It is I must make this point that I even find it difficult today to join my coalition in what they call the consultations, because I believe this government is legitimately in office. Losing the election narrowly does not undermine the credibility of a president or of a government.